When my girlfriend got pregnant for the seventh time, I was determined to marry her no matter how much she refused. But I accidentally overheard her talking with her best friend. You've been together for 7 years, been pregnant 7 times, and you still don't plan to give Gushun a proper status? She replied carelessly. Shu Yin would kill himself if he knew. I can't take that risk. This made her friend frown. You've had multiple abortions for Shu Yin, damaging your body. Don't you regret it? She looked passionate. As long as Shu Yin can successfully become the CEO of the Gu Corporation, I don't care what happens to me. I'm willing to sacrifice everything, even my marriage and my children. Standing outside the door, my entire body trembled uncontrollably. I turned around and threw the ring in my hand into the trash. The love I treasured turned out to be nothing but a scam. I sent a message to my childhood sweetheart abroad. Let's get married. When Lin Jior returned home, she didn't notice anything wrong. Instead, she hugged me and buried her head in my shoulder. Her face bloomed with a radiant smile, as if immersed in the joy of soon becoming a mother. Shu Chun, this time I definitely won't let anything happen to our baby. Once the baby is born, I'll have a wedding ceremony with you. Listening to the gentle words in my ear, I couldn't help but form a bitter smile. I had heard these words 6 times before, but whenever the child reached 3 months, various accidents would occur, resulting in miscarriages. In the past, I would always blame myself for not taking good care of her, but I never expected that she had been deceiving me again and again, treating me like a fool, playing me for a complete idiot. For Shu Yan's sake, she was heartless enough to kill her own flesh and blood. My heart twisted in pain, making it difficult to breathe. I casually pushed away her slender arms, creating some distance between us. She was visibly stunned. Shu Chun, what's wrong? Aren't you happy? Looking into those dazzlingly bright eyes, I asked in a low voice. Lin Jior, isn't there something you want to tell me? Lin Jior was slightly taken aback, her eyes avoiding mine as she looked away. What could I possibly have to tell you? Hearing these words, my heart completely died. I let out a soft sigh, with unprecedented grief in my heart. Work matters are too trivial. I'm just feeling irritable. She immediately helped rub my back sympathetically, trying to make me breathe more comfortably. Shu Chun, you've been working so hard, not only establishing yourself at Gu Corporation, but also taking care of me. The doctor said my pregnancy will stabilize after 3 months, then you should rest well. I'll be worried if you wear yourself out. When our baby is born, we'll get married, okay? She embraced me with sweet anticipation, while her pain welled up in my heart. Even now, she was still lying to me. Would this child really be born safely this time? Could we really get married smoothly? The previous 6 times, she had also followed the doctor's instructions, carefully nurturing the pregnancy, never missing a meal of various supplements beneficial for the fetus. Each time I believed the child would be born smoothly. I never expected that the child's mother was the true culprit who strangled our baby in the cradle. That night, I couldn't sleep at all. While she was sound asleep, her phone lit up. I finally used her fingerprint to unlock her phone. The person messaging her was Shu Yin. Jior, just endure a little longer. As long as he doesn't have a child, he can't take over the Gu group. Once I resolve matters on my end, I'll completely control the Gu group. Then you can leave Gu Shun, and we'll be together forever. So that was it. Old Master Gu had promised that whichever grandson married and had a child first would become the CEO of Gu Group. So everything had been a lie. She had been pregnant 7 times for me, not because she loved me, but for Shu Yin, that illegitimate son. Lin Jior, we don't need to get married anymore. And Shu Yin won't become the CEO of Gu Group either. In the bathroom, I let the hot water pour down over me, closing my eyes in despair. A scream came from outside the door. In the past, I would have rushed anxiously to see what happened to her. But at this moment, my heart felt nothing. When I finally emerged at my leisure, I saw her at the bottom of the stairs, clutching her stomach, with a pool of blood beneath her dress. She was sweating profusely from the pain, crying out loudly. Shu Chun, our baby. Shu Chun, please save our baby. Her acting skills were truly impressive. Even when deliberately missing a step and falling down the stairs, everyone would only think it was an accident. For her previous 6 miscarriages, she also found various excuses: eating something wrong, intense physical activity. Each time she lost a child, she acted as if she was heartbroken. So much so that I always believed it was genuine. I coldly watched as she, already prepared, skillfully dialed the emergency number she had ready in advance. In no time, specialized doctors came in. Clearly this had been arranged in advance. They said, Miss Lin, you're experiencing severe bleeding and must be taken to the hospital. Are you Miss Lin's family member? Please come along with us. I was also pushed onto the ambulance. Looking at the unconscious Lin Jior, I felt she deserved it. Outside the emergency room, a nurse rushed out shouting, "Who is Lin Jior's family? She's hemorrhaging severely, and we need a family member to sign the emergency treatment consent form." She looked at me. "Are you Lin Jior's husband?" I coldly replied, No. I'm just her boyfriend. Boyfriends cannot sign. It must be a family member, the nurse said firmly. If she hadn't kept refusing to get our marriage certificate, now at this critical moment when her life was at stake, she wouldn't be without someone who could sign for her. By the time her family arrived, she had missed the optimal window for emergency treatment. After the rescue attempt ended, I heard the doctor say, "Mr. Gu, your girlfriend's miscarriage has severely damaged her body. I'm afraid she won't be able to get pregnant again." Hearing the answer I had already anticipated, I felt calm inside. When she woke up, she just looked at me with reddened eyes, full of guilt. "Shu Chun, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Don't worry, next time I'll definitely be able to keep our child." I spoke with a hoarse voice. "The doctor says you can never get pregnant again." She froze, saying in disbelief, "But the previous 6 times, how could this time? That's impossible." I showed her the results, and she burst into tears. For a moment, I couldn't tell if she was crying because she couldn't be a mother, or because she couldn't carry Shuyin's child. After crying for 10 minutes, she wiped away her tears. "Shu Chun, don't be sad. Even if I can't get pregnant anymore, I'll find other ways to make you a father." My heart softened for a moment. She had just lost the baby, yet she was still thinking about comforting me. Until late at night, I heard her sleep-talking. "Shuyin, don't worry. Even if I can't use a child to control Gu Shu Chun, I'll find another way to help you get the position of CEO at Gu Corporation." All my emotions exploded in that moment. From beginning to end, she was just making a wedding dress for an illegitimate son. My childhood sweetheart from abroad sent me a message. "You've finally come to your senses? I've made all the arrangements. Come over in 3 days. With your abilities, you should have been developing your career abroad long ago." After booking the flight ticket, I could barely breathe thinking about the child that was just lost. I returned alone to the home where we had shared so many memories, tears uncontrollably streaming down my face. While packing my things, I discovered an old box under the bed with a small lock on it, as if it were keeping some secret. After opening it, I found it was a diary. Shuyan said, "He needs my help. I've successfully made Gushin fall in love with me. I can use his feelings for me to damage his image at the Gu Corporation, which will increase Shu Yan's chances of reclaiming everything that belongs to him." Each time losing a baby was very painful, but when I think of Shu Yan's smile, I can endure anything. With each page I turned, my heart felt like it was being cut by a blade. The love I had presumed was real had only made me into a fool. I willingly gave up my management rights at the Gu Corpora, time to become an ordinary employee, all just so I could leave work on time to cook for her. Late at night, she said she wanted to see the ocean, so I immediately chartered a plane, just so she could see the sunrise over the sea as soon as possible. She had only known Shu Yin for 1 week longer than she knew me, yet she was willingly doing all these things for him. What about my love for her? How ridiculous. The intimacy between the two of them in the photos tucked inside the diary couldn't be faked. Every single photo was taken after her miscarriage. After her miscarriage, she would always use the excuse of feeling down, saying she wanted to travel alone to clear her mind. I never imagined she was traveling the world with Shu Yin, visiting various attractions, taking photos. In the photos, her every expression and smile were looks I had never seen before. So that was the real her. So that's how her eyes look when she truly likes someone. My eyes were dry and couldn't produce another tear. Since she loves Shu Yin so deeply, I might as well let them be together. The next day, when she saw my red, swollen eyes, she thought I was grieving over the lost child. She made me rice porridge, ordered my favorite takeout, and attentively cared for my well-being. It almost made me doubt whether the events of the past few days were just a dream. Seeing me lost in thought, she comforted me. "Shu Chun, I know you're devastated about losing the baby, but you still need to eat. It breaks my heart to see you like this. This is the rice porridge I made myself. Didn't you say you liked it the most? Could you please eat a little bit?" Once when I had pneumonia, she simply made me a bowl of rice porridge, and I was deeply moved. As a result, I overlooked how my childhood friend had contacted doctors for me and brought special medication. Mom and Dad know that we lost the baby, and they're very sad too. They asked us to come to the family home for dinner tonight. What a small world. As soon as we entered the old house, I unexpectedly saw Shu Yin. Shu Yin was only recognized and brought back into the Gu family 2 years ago, and since then, every time I appear at the family home, he also shows up seeking attention. It seems Lin Jior has been tipping him off. Comparing him to my idol self has led most of the family elders to favor him. Just thinking about how my child died innocently because of him made my heart ache. Seeing me, he raised his eyebrows. "Well, Big Brother is back. Have a seat. I heard your child couldn't be saved again. Don't you think it's your fault that your wife has miscarried 7 times in 7 years?" He pretended to show sympathy. "Auntie, don't upset yourself. Brother Shuchen doesn't want this either." He tried to grab my hand, but pretended that I had pushed him away. The next second, Lin Jior pushed me aside, rushed forward, and anxiously asked, Shu Chen, how cowl. Do you push someone? She helped Shu Yan up, without even looking at me, and assisted him upstairs. As if possessed, I followed them. Through the crack in the door, I saw clothes scattered messily on the floor. Shu Yan, I can't get pregnant anymore. If I marry him and fail to have a child, he won't be able to inherit the Gu group, and you'll have a chance. Although I already had the answer in my heart, when I actually saw them in the throes of passion, I was still thunderstruck. Shu Yan was moved to tears. Jiuer, you've done so much for me. I can never repay you. Tonight, let me make it up to you, okay? I silently left. It wasn't until the next day that Lin Jiuer frantically tried to explain to me, but I pretended not to hear and left her behind. Walking to the garden of the old mansion, Shu Yan suddenly appeared, and I instinctively stepped back. He looked at me provocatively. Gu Shu Chun, you saw what Jiuer was like yesterday. Is she the same way when she's underneath you? Last night, it turns out he had discovered me. Gu Shu Chun, you've taken everything that should have been mine since childhood. Now you'll have to give it all back. Not just the inheritance rights to the Gu family, but everything about you. Love, family affection. I won't leave you with anything. I suddenly looked up, emotionally agitated. For the position of Gu family's chairman, you've become so ruthless. So what? Blame yourself for being stupid. He could take everything from me, but he cannot use an innocent little life as his weapon. Unable to tolerate it any longer, I raised my hand and slapped him across the face. Slap. Lin Jiuer ran over from behind and stood in front of him. Her cheek instantly turned red. She came to her senses and pushed me away forcefully. Gu Shuchen, how could you hit someone? Apologize to Shu Yan right now. I stared at this pair of fake, hypocritical lovers. Want me to apologize to him? In your dreams. I looked at Lin Jiuer's face as if I were looking at a stranger. Lin Jiuer, tell me, what really happened to all my children? She frowned. They were all accidents. Weren't you there each time? I sneered. Accidents? Do you dare to swear on that? What do you mean? Her acting was truly excellent. Even now, she remained calm and collected. I've checked all the supplements you've been taking. They're all harmful to the baby. Lin Jiuer, don't worry. I won't appear to bother you two anymore. You both disgust me. After saying this, ignoring her shocked eyes, I turned away without hesitation. She hadn't expected that I, who had always obeyed her every word, would directly leave her behind. She wanted to chase after me, but was stopped by Shu Yan. Jiuer, I've already gotten the Gu family elders to accept me now. You don't need to go back to Gu Shuchen anymore. Can we be together again? She hesitated for 2 seconds, but Ultima. Telly said, yes. As soon as I got home, my phone kept ringing with messages. It was Shu Yan's provocation. I ignored him. So what if he got everything? Lin Jiuer can never get pregnant. The Gu family is just a huge cage. The Gu family elders are extremely controlling, and he is nothing but a puppet. I've wanted to escape for a long time. If that's what he wants so badly, then he can have it all. Tomorrow is my birthday, and I will leave them and start a new life. I gathered everything in the house related to Lin Jiuer and burned it all. I only left behind a breakup letter. The next day, I took my luggage to the airport. Before boarding, she called again. Shu Chun, I'm sorry, but a problem suddenly came up with the company project. I can't celebrate your birthday with you today. Can I make it up to you tomorrow? Just 5 minutes earlier, Shu Yan had sent me a photo of the two of them embracing at a luxury banquet. Looking at the photo, they were holding hands and smiling sweetly, boldly making their relationship public. I had wanted to bring her to various banquets before, but she always refused. It turns out it was simply because I wasn't the person she loved. The boarding time has arrived, and I'm shaking off all the negative emotions. I replied with a cold laugh. Lin Jiuer, there is no tomorrow. Then I hung up the phone. No matter how frantically Lin Jiuer called, I ignored her completely. Lin Jiuer, goodbye forever. Lin Jiuer absent-mindedly accompanied Shu Yan to the gathering, but in her heart, she was thinking about how to make me forgive her. She firmly believed that if she just lowered her head a little, I would reconcile with her. After all, that's how it had been every time before. But she didn't hear from me. Only her assistant came running in a panic. Something terrible has happened. Mr. Gu has disappeared. Lin Jiuer said in disbelief. What do you mean? Besides home, where else would Shu Chen go? The assistant nervously replied. Mr. Gu isn't at home. After searching everywhere, I only found a letter. She happily opened it, thinking it was an apology letter from me. In the past, to make her happy, whenever we had conflicts, I would always comfort myself, PUA myself, and write essay after essay to apologize and move her. But this time, Lin Jiuer froze as she read the contents of the letter. How could this be? So Shu Chen knew everything all along. No wonder his personality changed so drastically, and his attitude toward her became completely different. She looked at Shu Yan in panic. What should we do? Shu Chun discovered our relationship. Before she could react, Shu Yan gave a cold laugh. What error is this? Someone actually writing a breakup letter. This is just his method to get your attention. Jiuer, he loves you dearly. He's just angry with you and wants to make you feel guilty. I know him too well. After a few days, he'll obediently come back and be devoted to you as always." Lin Jior didn't speak, her eyes empty, choking back tears as she softly said, "Really? I've wronged him. When the banquet is over, I must find him and beg for his forgiveness." At this moment, I was already on the plane. If I could have heard this, I would have certainly sneered. I only hope she never appears in front of me again to disgust me. As for forgiveness, if my unborn children could forgive her, then I would forgive her. After a few minutes, an inappropriate video appeared on the big screen in the banquet hall, playing on loop for about 10 minutes. This was my final revenge against them. The contents of my voice recorder narrated everything they had done from beginning to end. When they were sleeping together, I recorded everything with my phone. I saved all the evidence to deliver them a fatal blow. When the people at the banquet clearly saw who the protagonists in the video were, they all looked at them with strange expressions. They watched Xu Yan and Lin Jior while whispering to each other. Predictably, after today, both of them would be utterly disgraced in high society. Seeing this situation, Xu Yan excitedly said, "Turn it off. Hurry and turn it off. This is all fake. It's AI generated." The Gu family elder said with a cold face. "Xu Yan, is this you? Look at what you've done." Once this video came out, it not only destroyed the Gu family's reputation, but also made them unable to hold their heads up. Everyone would only see them as a pair of scoundrels. Unfilial child, indeed an illegitimate son, is never any good. The Gu family doesn't have such a disgraceful child. Xu Yan explained loudly. "No, it's not my fault. It was all Lin Jior who seduced me. I didn't bring shame to the Gu family. It was all Lin Jior's fault." He desperately begged every elder in the Gu family. "Give me one more chance. I will do everything better than Gu Shurchin. This video happened because that shameless Lin Jior seduced me. Please." He kneeled down in the banquet hall, disregarding his dignity, but the Gu family elders didn't even look at him and left the banquet covering their faces. At that moment, the Gu family lost all face in the capital city, and they completely expelled Xu Yan from the Gu family. Lin Jior watched everything with a pale face. The man she had loved for 7 years, when faced with trouble, actually threw her under the bus. She now began to regret. Her heart started to panic uncontrollably. She seemed to have lost the most important thing in her life, the person who truly loved her. At the banquet, everyone's gaze was like a knife, slowly cutting them to pieces. Only now did she see Xu Yan's true face. Others may not know for whom she had an abortion, but doesn't he know? "Xu Yan, are you now saying it's all my fault? All of the Gu family's grandchildren were aborted, Beck. Cause of your instigation." He turned pale with shock. "You're talking nonsense. It was clearly because Gu Shuchen failed to protect the child. You're still trying to deny it. I've kept all of our chat records." Since Xu Yan tried to push all the blame onto Lin Jior wouldn't let him off easily either. The Gu family had always been thin in descendants. If not for discovering Xu Yan's illegitimate child, Gu Shuchen would have been the only heir. There wouldn't have been the conditions set by old Master Gu for inheriting the family fortune, that one must establish a family before inheriting the Gu family business. At this moment, she finally realized who truly cared for her and wanted to leave. Xu Yan quickly grabbed her. "Jior, don't go. The Gu family won't spare me. I only have you now. Don't leave me. Please, I'm begging you." Lin Jior cursed him directly. "Shut up. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost Xu Chun." Xu Yan was startled. She had never been fierce with him before. "Jior, how can you be harsh to me because of an outsider? You frighten me." She gave a cold laugh. "Xu Yan, why are you still pretending in front of me? Do you think I don't know that you're just a person who tells lie after lie? All these years you've been deceiving me. You've been the one bullying Xu Chen all along." He began to get nervous. He would no longer receive the protection of the Gu family, and couldn't afford to lose a woman who wholeheartedly cared for him. "What? I haven't done anything. It's only Xu Chun who bullies me." His eyes kept dodging. I had anticipated he would deny it, so I had already sent the old mansion's surveillance footage to Lin Jior. The moment the surveillance video was brought out, he finally panicked completely. "Xu Yan, all these years you've been playing the victim in front of me, but behind my back you've hurt Xu Chen so many times. Before, my heart was blinded. I accepted losing 7 children, but now you still want to use me? Dream on." This time she wouldn't soften her heart again. She had always thought Xu Yan was the irreplaceable one in her heart, but over these years, it had already become Xu Chun. The moment he pushed her out, and the words he said, she finally realized how all these years she had done so many wrong things for such a person, even going so far as to kill 7 children with her own hands. How ridiculous. She pulled her hand away and said coldly, "This is the consequence of your own evil deeds. This is the end between us. At this moment, I have safely landed abroad, and my friend has told me everything that happened at the banquet. My friend finally understands what I've been bearing that has made me so depressed lately. He comforted me. It's okay. The next one will be better. If it weren't for Lin Jior, you would have already succeeded in your business venture with your abilities. How could Gufami Li's assets ever be something you'd care about? The important thing is that you can start over now. My friend and I are both from wealthy families, and we were trained by our families since childhood. After becoming adults, we wanted to create our own path with my friend. Later when I met Lin Jior, I was the one who misspoke first. Fortunately, he didn't get angry with me. My hand holding the phone trembled involuntarily, and I said with a choked voice, "Good, let's start fresh. You handle the domestic business, and I'll handle the overseas operations. We'll create a group that belongs to us, without having to endure the pressure from our families anymore." When I first learned the truth, I started having nightmares almost every night. Only after seeing them pay the appropriate price did I truly find peace. Just as I began traveling around the world for business and seeking clients, Lin Jior in China started desperately trying to find me. Lin Jior knelt for a long time at the temple, praying for the child she lost. She handwrote hundreds of letters of repentance, only begging for Gu Shurchen to look at them once. All kinds of trending topics about her flooded the internet. When I saw her in the videos, her eye sockets were sunken, her face covered with melasma. I almost didn't recognize her. Even when she was pregnant, she dressed up like an 18-year-old girl every day. But now, she looked so haggard that she resembled a woman in her 40s. It seems she hasn't been doing well. The Gu family directly announced that they would not recognize Xu Yan's identity, and he could no longer survive in the industry. The latest news was that he appeared under a bridge, being beaten by a group of thugs over a baked pancake. After he was beaten, Lin Jior appeared before him like a demon. "If it weren't for you, Shuchen wouldn't have left me. Xu Yan, you made me lose 7 children and the most important person in my life. I will also let you know what it feels like to lose the most important thing." Seeing her reckless appearance, Xu Yan cried and begged for mercy. "Jior, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I was bewitched. I had no choice. If Gu Shu-chun became the chairman of the Gu family, I would certainly have no way out. If he discovered that we had been involved earlier, would he spare us? I did it all for you, Jior." Looking at her holding a large pair of scissors, fierce and intimidating. His eyes were full of fear. "What are you trying to do? If you kill me, you won't have a way out either." She sneered. "Killing you would dirty my hands. I just want to remove the filthy parts from your body." Soon, heart-wrenching screams echoed from beneath the bridge. When I earned enough money, I traveled around the world with my childhood sweetheart. After seeing the world with her, I realized how blind I had been before. She wasn't like Lin Jior, a leech clinging to me, letting me do all the giving. Instead, we moved forward together, both contributing and caring for each other. When we traveled to Dali, we fell in love with the slow-paced lifestyle and beautiful scenery. Despite my careful efforts to hide my whereabouts, Lin Jior still found me. While I was sunbathing by Irai Lake, she appeared before me wearing the dress I once loved most. It was a floral dress she had never worn before. Even when I had excitedly bought it for her, she had scornfully said it was ugly and that she would never wear it. She stood with her back to the sunlight, looking at me longingly. After a long while, she finally spoke. "Shu-chun, I've finally found you." Before I could say anything, my little childhood friend started berating her like a fighter jet. She already knew everything about me and Lin Jior, and at this moment, she was exactly like when she used to protect me as a child. "How dare you show your face here? Are your actions even human? Get lost now. The person you rejected, I cherish very much. If you come disturb us again, I'll chase you away with a broom." Lin Jior is someone who cares deeply about saving face, but now being scolded and driven away, she still shamelessly begged me. "Shu-chun, I know everything I did before was terribly wrong. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I just want a chance to atone," I said coldly. "It's not me you need to atone to. It's our 7 innocent children. Please leave, and let's not meet again." She shook her head obstinately. "No, I've finally found you after so much effort. As long as I can be by your side, I'll do anything. As long as you give me a small corner, I'll work like an ox or a horse to atone for my sins." When the young childhood sweetheart heard that she still wanted to disturb our world of 2, she was so angry that she picked up a nearby branch and wanted to rush over. I stopped her and sneered. "Lin Jior, I've lost 7 children, and you think a casual sorry can cover everything up? No, it was Xu Yan who made me do it. I didn't want to. How could I be so heartless to my own children?" I interrupted her with a cold laugh. "So what? You still killed your own children with your own hands. Don't you find your remorse ridiculous now?" She lowered her head, guiltily shedding tears of remorse. "I'm sorry. As long as you give me another chance, I'll do anything." I looked at her coldly. "Then atone for your sins to my children. 7 children, you should die 7 times. She was stunned, eyes widening. "What? Didn't you say you would do anything? Just stab yourself 7 times, at least to show a bit of remorse to the children." She trembled and mumbled like a madwoman, as if remembering something. Children, my children. Mommy was wrong. Mommy was truly wrong. Lin Jiaoer crouched on the ground, sobbing with her head in her hands. She had been having nightmares recently, and every night 7 children would cry out in her mind, "Mommy, I'm in so much pain." When she recovered, completely deflated, she knelt before me. "Shu Chun, do you hate me that much?" Looking at her miserable state, I felt nothing inside. "Yes, I don't just hate you. I'm disgusted by you. From now on, stay as far away from me as possible." Lin Jiaoer, for 7 years, I constantly looked forward to our children. But you, for the sake of Shu Yin, killed 7 of our children with your own hands. I never cared about the heir position in the Gu family. If you had just told me, I would have given it to Shu Yin. In my heart, nothing is more important than family. Admit it, you never loved me. I'm doing very well now. If you truly want to atone, then never appear before me again. After saying this, I took the hand of my childhood sweetheart and turned to leave. She remained kneeling for a long time, only leaving late into the night. My childhood sweetheart and I had also agreed on our wedding date, on March 3rd, a day when spring was in full bloom and when we met again. On the eve of the wedding, I saw news about Lin Jiaoer. The only daughter of the Lin group went mad from depression in less than half a year, and her body was later found in the sea. Before her death, Lin Jiaoer stabbed herself 7 times in the abdomen, each stab penetrating to the bone. All her assets were transferred to an unknown account. Looking at the sudden large sum of money in the account balance, I remained silent for a long time. Finally, I used this money to establish a children's aid fund, considering it as accumulating good fortune for the children. At the wedding, I sincerely made a vow to my childhood sweetheart to love her for a lifetime. I was once again filled with beautiful aspirations for our future life together. Let the past be carried away.